When it comes to gender-based violence and the sexual assaults, specifically of children, social media tends to play quite a significant role in highlighting the issues. The latest rape case, of course, making headlines is that of a 7-year-old girl in Matatiele. Her mother has made a video that's been posted on social media and has since gone viral, detailing what she knows to have happened. People, of course, took over from where she left off and used the power of social media to put pressure on authorities to notice this case and to act. So it gives us an opportunity to unpack the impact of social media activism, particularly within the South African context. A textbook case, of course, of this kind of activism also unfolded during the rape and murder, at least the case around Uyinene Mrwetyana. That's the teenager who was raped and murdered in Claremont, I think it was, in Cape Town. Let's unpack all of this and bring in our guest. Bridgette Matjuda is a social media activist herself and joins us now in our studios. So lovely to see you. Thank you so much for popping by.
Thank you so much for having me.
Even though we're speaking about what I reckon is such a heavy matter, but an important one nonetheless. One of the matters I alluded to in my introduction there is what's taking place in Matatiele. The school at the center of this rape that's taken place has faced pressure to be closed down by the Provincial Education Department. But what's since emerged is how we cover stories like this and the responsibility specifically on the media to protect children who are involved in such cases. And what's been mentioned is the potential dangers of naming a child who is said to have been involved in this really atrocious act. And I wonder what your activism says about whether or not we should be naming this child in Matatiele and the potential dangers that come with that.
Ayanda, it is very good that the law protects children and that their identities should remain hidden, which is why it's very important that there has been an outcry on social media to not share the children's real names or their real photos. Even if they have had access to their parents' social media, it is absolutely prohibited for their real images of the children, because they are minors, to be used and for their names to be put out there.
Yeah, and it's a bit difficult to balance this, right? Because as we speak, part of the reason why so many people know about this particular case is because there's a hashtag bearing what we thought to be the name of this child trending on social media.
Yes. So a hashtag is one of the ways in which social media can keep track of the news, and get updates and to quickly spread the word. So that's where the power and the impact of social media also comes in. That hashtag has become so big and so huge, it's been international, and what took the mother 5 months for her to get attention and assistance from the law and the public, within social media it took 7 days from the podcast to it actually hitting mainstream media news.
Yeah. Since then, there's been a couple of marches that have been held, statements from political parties that have been released. In fact, the ANC's Secretary General has just spoken about this, condemning what's taken place. But I wonder if you can take us to some of those marches, because I know you attended one of them, and just help us place whether or not this is finally the case that you feel will shift the dial in how South African law enforcement agencies respond to such cases.
Social media has changed how things are done. Now, if we take back and go back on this case, the mother tried all options possible. She went the legal route. She tried to get assistance. She did everything in her power that is known to be legally correct and sound. And for 5 months, she was even intimidated in her story that she mentioned, on the podcast, where the principal, it is said to her, these rumors are not good for the school, you're ruining our image, you need to really stop. And she said, my daughter has been violated. Who is helping her? There's no ways that she can stop. And putting things into context, the mother has her own rape case, which was never resolved. So she vowed that even if it means that it is her blood, she will do whatever it takes for her child to get the justice that she deserves. So it is very important to note, that there is power in one voice, in unity online, when we stand together, as South Africans against such injustices.
Yeah. Making the noise on social media has its place, but of course what hopefully happens ultimately is that justice is served. And I wonder what else you reckon people can be done to move what's called keyboard activism to material change, right? Because let's face it, what's taking place in Matatiele is incredibly, I'm trying to even find the appropriate word outside of disheartening, but it's incredibly worrisome, and we could find more stronger terms than that. However, it's not unique. We've come across instances like that before, where there's shock value, there are hashtag, there are trends, but then people ultimately move on.
Now, to show the power in this instance of social media, the spirit of Ubuntu has been reawakened. People have assembled, funds have been raised, and put together for the mother, because they lost a lot of resources with the child getting medical attention. So umphakathi uhlanganisile imali, gotten the details from the mother. Everyone is contributing, whether it's just a 2 rand, a 5 rand, a 10 rand. Collectively, it's actually been more than 100K in just a few days. Also, in terms of the petition that is being signed, that also puts pressure, for people to act that are of the law and that can assist in the case. The petition currently is over 892,000 signatures that have been put down. There's been a lot of unity. There are races that are coming together, and they are saying none of our children should have to go through this. And if we don't stand up as parents, no one else will. So it's a whole lot more than just keyboard warrior, Action is being taken. A lot of media and podcasts are making noise about this. Children are being made aware, to get self-defense classes. Parents as well the teachers are now encouraging parents to get to spend time with their children, to know their children, to see these strange behaviors, as the mother picked up from this child, with the father, to say, but why is she walking like that, and things like that. So it is helping to bridge the gap.
Sure. One has to wonder what kind of impact this will have on this child. From what I've heard, and I don't know how much of it is true, of course, but this was a child who was doing relatively well, in fact, in school. And again, I think whatever happens, whatever form the activism takes, what should be prioritized is this child's physical and psychological well-being. And how best do you reckon, Bridgette, we could do that as people, really charge at the alleged perpetrators who are said to be behind this?
I think in this case, where the principal refused to have their samples taken, the update is that his sample has been taken along with others. So that alone should give hope that when we do stand and we are united as one, change can come. Another also good example is the Big Brother Sweet Guluva, That caught the attention of Somizi to such an extent, the power of social media, and how everyone stood together to vote to assist Sweet Guluva with the win and his victory. Somizi made a video to say, listen, we are tired. Some of us don't even watch Big Brother, but then that goes to show you that the power of social media landed where it needed to. Now look at this current case. The very same Somizi stepped in and said, wow, wait, with this hashtag, I, out of my own personal resources, am willing to assist the mother and the child with legal fees. There have since been other public figures that have stood up to assist. So there's definitely unity, there's definitely power in social media, and it cannot be ignored or denied.
As we round up our discussions, there's been all manner of claims around how the school responded to this, right? And the principal at the center of the allegations as well. And I have no doubt there are other schools watching. God forbid anything happens similar to what's taken place in Matatiele. But if they are confronted with this kind of case or any other, what should be the approach of the school, at the very least, so that their own intentions aren't drawn into question?
I think being clear. The children come first. It's always the children's health, the child's safety. You know, a child cannot be expelled from school because they are the ones that were violated. That doesn't make sense. The child didn't bring this upon himself or herself, you know. So there needs to be a lot of love and kindness and tenderness that goes into this. I think a lot of the teachers also need to be vetted before they come on board on the school. There needs to be a lot of programs that are run through for their mental health, you know, of the teachers. There needs to be programs where children are taught that no one is supposed to be in your proximity, you know, no one should touch you inappropriately. This is what you should do. There needs to be accurate channels where a child can go and report a case and they are taken seriously and the school cooperates, you know, everyone involves openly so to assist the child and to deal with the challenges and the problems wherever they may lie.
Absolutely. Such an indictment on our society that something like this could happen. But thank you for helping us think through some of the delicacies of what ultimately takes place in response to that. So Bridgette Matjuda, thanks very much indeed for coming by. Really do appreciate the time and the patience. Bridgette Matjuda, of course, a social activist in her own right, speaking to us there about some of what is involved, of course, in specifically social media activism, with that case of the 7-year-old in Matatiele coming into sharp focus.